Normally I wouldn't approach ya without a formal introduction. Never been the type to move fast, but feeling early eruption. Now tell me, are you down with that? Once you rock with me, ain't no coming back. I need a monkey, come hold me down. A real queen now can wear this crown. Now we rockin' like, oh, holler out flex. Now we rockin' like, oh, I'll tell you what's next. Now we rockin' like, oh, holler out flex. Now we rockin' like, oh, I'll tell you what's next.
All designed. It was fun. It was fun. Actually, you know
Hell
what?
yeah.
Well,
That's
got
what's up.
the logo on the. I doubt it'll ever freaking stay there, so you can see it. But
And you already know how I do this, Naz.
anyway,
Welcome to the Subtle Flex Podcast. I'm here with two people that want to spread some news on a baseball team that I'm excited about, especially being here at Fort Drum, Watertown, and all this good stuff around us. As y'all know, I'm always on the podcast with Lex, either on the Audio the Baseball channel or on the Figure 4 Wrestling channel. Today, we're talking about just the Subtle Flex Podcast, and I'm excited to talk. So, Lex, introduce the guest here today.
All right, so today is a special one because the person we're interviewing, someone I played with last year on an adult league out in Syracuse. I hadn't played competitively since high school, and it was probably the best team that I've played on as far as just the family vibe. And I'm interviewing. Not only does he manage the team, coaches the team, but also plays shortstop for the team, and that's Mark Berend. Welcome to the show, Mark. I know this interview got postponed once before, but we're here now. So what's going on? How you been? How you been?
I'm good. Yeah, absolutely. Good to see you guys. I'm happy to be here. Glad you had me on, and I'm looking forward to it, man. It'll be fun. It'll be fun to catch up with you a little bit, let everybody know what's going on, and go from there, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So because our viewers don't really know you, and neither does Fred up here, I'm just gonna start with, who's Mark Berend? Tell us a little more about yourself, and what do you do?
Well, I grew up in the North Country in the New York State, a little small town, and played baseball kind of all my life, and it's stuck with me there. But at this point, I live in Oswego, New York. Just living life, just doing my thing, really. I'm kind of a laid back kind of guy. It kind of fits the baseball mentality pretty well, I think. Where it's just, I tried playing football in high school, but I just didn't have that aggression for it, man. I'm gonna sit back and I'll see what happens, and I'll play off of that a little bit. But I like to have fun. I like to enjoy myself. Especially out in the ball field. It's been the one thing I've done all my life, and from there I kind of take things as it goes. Just see how things are, and kind of work with it.
Hey, I think we could both agree with that. I think being a baseball player, not all baseball players have the calm mind mentality. There's some crazy ones out there, but most of us are pretty chill, and we just enjoy the sport that we love.
Hey, so how long have you been up here? Is this like your childhood area, like the North Country in New York?
No, I grew up. Yeah, I was born and raised in Canton, New York, which is about an hour and a half north of Watertown. So, and then I moved to the Syracuse area about 2006.
So, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, yep.
Oh yeah. So the next question I was gonna say was, you guys have this love of baseball and being here like stationed, right? Which is pretty cool because last summer was my first summer here. That's my. It just was a baseball vibe, like atmosphere in this area. It's like, is that the sport for the North Country in New York State at least? Because they did have
Well,
that vibe.
yeah, I mean, perhaps in the summertime, there's a lot of softball leagues, in here in the central New York area and where I grew up north. So there's probably getting a lot of that vibe for there. Obviously, in the winter, that changes totally. That's totally a hockey area in the winter. But yeah, no, I think
Yeah.
you probably got a good point with that. I never really quite thought of it like that, but yeah, that's kind of the summer thing to do. I think a lot of people. I mean, I guess I'm in the circle, so the people I come in contact with are going to be doing softball or baseball anyway. But yeah, it's not it's certainly not uncommon. And that's kind of the thing a lot of people do for the summertime for sure.
Oh, I loved it over here.
Yeah, I could say like coming from Kansas to Fort Drum, there's one positive thing about Fort Drum, and is that I got to play baseball. I got to go back to doing what I love. So I'm gonna carry into what made you fall in love with baseball.
You know, baseball has been the one thing I've done my entire life, it seems, man. I mean, my mom tells me a story of being able to throw a ball literally before I could walk, sitting on the floor and just throwing it, the length of the kitchen and such. So it's always been that one thing that's been in my life. And it's always been that one thing that I was pretty good at. So I've never had a bad time on the ball field. I like to say that. Like I don't care if it's raining, if it's crappy out, if I'm losing 20-0. I have a great time on the ball field. That's just my passion. It's what I love to do. My mom taught me how to play baseball, so it's kind of different from most of the stories you hear, where it's your dad taking you out and playing ball and that type of stuff. But my mom taught me. It was the thing she kind of did it while she was growing up with her family a little bit, just playing catch with some balls and such. So I think there's that family connection there too, man. It's just always been there. Like my brothers, obviously, well, fairly obviously, well, they play ball. That would make sense, I'm sure. And it's our family thing. So it's that connection to both having fun, enjoying myself, and having a great time, and to my family too.
So I got a nice little question for you. Who you root for?
My team,
Yeah,
yeah, the Braves all the way, man, all the way.
Wow.
I knew
Yeah,
Fred would
yeah.
like that answer.
Wow. I like it. I like the
I,
Braves.
I grew up like I said, so far up north. I grew up watching the Montreal Expos, and we go to across the border and catch a game or two a year. Um, then when they disbanded, I kind of followed the Nats a little bit, but I was a Gary Carter fan. And then when he got traded to the Mets, I watched the Mets for a while. They won the World Series and all that type of stuff. I was kind of into it for that. And I'll be honest with you, when the Braves kind of did their worst or first in the '90s, how could you kind of not cling on to that a little bit? And been following them ever since.
Absolutely. So, I'm gonna let's jump into the league a little bit. How'd you find Syracuse MSBL and how long you've been with them?
Like I said, I moved up here in '06. I had a baseball team before I had a job when I moved up here. I'll be entirely honest with you. I'm playing ball somewhere. Like I'll figure out a job later. So that was '06, 2006, and I, I actually I think I just ran across a guy. I was a personal trainer at a gym, and I think he was just there, and I somehow struck up a conversation with him. He's like, "Dude, let's come play ball. I got on a baseball team. Come play with me." So from there, it was no questions asked. Like, sign me up, man. Let's do it. And yeah, so I've been playing in the league ever since.
So, what inspires you to coach and how long you've been coaching for? Because I know, from playing with you last year, you said you didn't always coach the team, and then kind of the person who was coaching the team wanted to do something on his own, and you wind up staying with the team prior. So, how long you've been coaching, and what inspires you to
But
coach?
yeah, running these teams, as you may know, if you guys have ever run anything, like it takes a lot of time. It takes some effort. It takes some focus, and sometimes the guys on the team don't entirely understand that. And the guy when I started, like I said, it was in '06, and I played on the team until I think I took over. I was checking this the other day just to be sure, in 2013, 2014, 2014. And he was running the team, and a lot of times it's the typical stuff. It's like, hey guys, let's meet up, let's get some stuff, practice set up, let's get some money. And while it was a great time and it was a great team, he just got tired of it. And he's just like, man, he would put a lot of money into it. If somebody didn't happen to have dues paid in time, and trying to chase people down was a hassle. And so at one point, he just kind of like, dude, I'm done. I'm tired of dealing with all the hassle and the harassment and the running and all that type of stuff that went with it. And I said, I like this team. I like these guys, and I'm gonna keep running it. I really find the value in taking something that kind of is nothing and making it something. Because at that point, we had lost, I'd say, probably half the guys off the team. They were older guys, and some other guys moved off to do different things. So I essentially started over. Me and a buddy of mine, my buddy Paul, it was just like everybody we came across that said they were interested in baseball. I said, "Come on over. Let's just get over it, and we'll get you out here, and we'll see what you're made of, and we'll go from there." So from then on, I took over and was running the team, and I enjoy it. I like that challenge. I like saying, like I said, maybe it's not the best team to start with, and then at some point you can look back and go, man, look at what we did. Look at what we accomplished with that. We're a good team. We're fighting for a championship. We're in the thick of things, and that's awesome. I mean, that's what sports is about. It's that's what the focus is. Be better. Be as close to perfect as you can get yourself. And again, that challenge, I like that challenge. I've certainly had people that will say to me, why do you put up with all that running around and trying to catch up with these guys and get money and find a sponsor or whatnot? I like the challenge. I just that's the fun part of it to me. Obviously playing is awesome, and that I love doing that. That's the one thing. But the challenge of making something out of nothing is awesome too.
Question about this league that you have. What was the acronym, Lex, that you said? MSBL?
Yes, Syracuse MSBL.
What does the acronym stand for?
Men's Senior Baseball League. It's a nationally affiliated league. They've got it all over like I said, throughout the nation. It's MSBL and ABL, Men's Amateur Baseball League. Basically, the Men's Senior Baseball League, which kind of sounds like it's for the older guys, but it's a 20. Well, it depends on the league. You can start playing at 18, depending on which league you're in, and that goes. I mean, heck, they've got national tournaments for guys that are 65 and older. So
Oh,
it's
sheesh.
it's yeah, right, just 65 and older. So and then they've got a branch of that. Like I said, is more of an amateur baseball league. Is for the kids that are more like 18 and a little bit younger than that, trying to get stuff figured out for them and give them something to do and keep them in the game and give them some great tournaments and stuff as well. So it's a really nice league to be affiliated with, or an association to be affiliated with.
So with the team that you have, how like how far do you guys travel? What's like the furthest travel do you guys have as far as playing some of these teams? You said across the country? How where's the expansion where you guys go and travel?
Our league is strictly local. We're just all in the Syracuse area. Basically, our league specifically has about 3 fields we use, and all the teams basically come to those fields. So it's not quite the travel like I was mentioning. We're certainly not playing other teams in California or Texas or Maine or anything like that. We keep that local. I don't believe there are any leagues that quite travel that much. Perhaps I'm not entirely familiar, but again, I think that national affiliation is more associated with these tournaments that they have, because they do have national tournaments. Over in Las Vegas, they have a big summer finale kind of tournament in Florida. So I think they do. I guess we go to Cooperstown each year.
Wow.
No, it's them. It's national. It's through national. Yep. So the national, they do a national tournament at Cooperstown, at the Field of Legends Field. I think around the 4th of July, something like that. So yeah, they really can set up a lot of that stuff, and that allows us to go play some good teams and see some other places and see some of these guys that love the game and kind of test our mettle against some other competition too. But our league, yeah, is very local, very local.
So I have a good question. What keeps you playing into your 40s? Because I know when I'm 40, I'm gonna be playing softball. I think I'm done trying to keep up with the young guys.
Yeah, I love baseball, man. I see. If I can get on a ball field, I'm playing, man. Somehow, if I just coaching, if it's something, that's my goal. That's my goal. I love baseball, and again, think a lot of that falls down into just that passion that I have for it, for the competition, for the camaraderie of the guys. Like you mentioned at the beginning, Alex, I mean, we got a great bunch of guys. We are the guys on our team this year or last year. We kind of got a new influx of guys. We're great. They're awesome. You know, we hang out after a game. We'll have a couple of beers. We'll cook out, or we'll talk about ball. We'll talk about life, and I love that. That's awesome. You know, I, sports, baseball in particular, but sports has introduced me to more of my great friends and more of the
That's
people
good.
that I've run across and more of the connections that I have than anything else ever. So, you know, I love it. I love it. You know, our league has some older guys in the league, and you know, like there's a number of guys on our team that look up to those guys. And we have some guys, a couple of guys on our team that are in their 60s and 50s anyway.
Yes, we do.
And there was one gentleman that was in his 70s, I believe, like later 70s. You know, obviously he wasn't the star of the team, but he'd get out there, he'd get in a bat a day or a game, he'd play first base here and there. Like I want to be that guy. Like I want to be like that. You know, so I love baseball, and again, it's given me as much as anything else has in my life, and I don't want to lose that. So if I can keep up with it, if I can have that in my life, I'm with it. I'm all about it.
So you mentioned being a coach, and then you managing a team, and I can relate not in the baseball sense because in baseball, like I have the love for baseball, but baseball didn't love me because only a defend I was only a defender. Like hitting the ball, like if I even get a little chip on the ball, I thought I won. But majority of my life, I played adult basketball leagues, and the way you're talking about how to manage a team is the same way that me and my friends would be as adults trying to build an adult team. Because one, we're not getting paid to play the sport, so they have 9 to 5 jobs, or so on and so forth. They have their own family. So you mentioned sponsoring. That's another challenge we used to have, trying to find someone to sponsor our team so it doesn't come out of our own pockets. Talk to me about that difficulty or the challenge, because you mentioned challenging of building a team, because I can relate on a different sport when it comes to trying to build an adult team that isn't funded from someone else.
Yeah, to your point, you find that in obviously every sport. Every person that wants to run a team or play it on a team, you're going to run into that, right? There's money's got to come from somewhere, and quite frankly, we aren't sponsored. You know, I've looked into some things, but we are just completely, you know, a team funded. You know, it's the guys on the team that have to pay for that, and yeah, exactly to your point. It is tough to kind of get all that organized. It's almost easier with kids, right? Because you can just
Right.
say, listen, we're going to have practice at noon here and just make sure they're there, right? With the adults, of course, they've got families and they've got responsibilities and they've got jobs and they've got to get that taken care of. And it's been a challenge. It's always a challenge to kind of get, you know, everybody, at least a good portion of them, in the right place at the right time. You know, every time you put out a thing, hey, how about Saturday at noon? 4 or 5 guys maybe can make it, and then you know
Yeah.
I can make Sunday. How about Sunday? Well, I'm busy Sunday. How about Saturday? And that's totally the challenge. It really is. And with my passion and my kind of excitement to be running the team and playing, it's tough for me to understand sometimes. I'll tell you, like let's play. Don't you want to play? Let's get there. And they're like, come on, you know. And again, to my point, I don't have a family to take care of like that. It's just me, you know. It's me and the girlfriend and such. So I don't got to worry about getting my kids to their practices, and I don't have to worry about that stuff. So I forget about that from time to time, you know. But it's tough, you know. Sponsorship, like I said, is a little bit more of a different story. Just that I don't have quite as much experience, but I certainly have. You know, I've talked to people and gone places and so-called done the cold call thing. Like, listen, we got this. I'd like to be able to help you out if we can. You know, if you can help us out, maybe we can help you out. And I think that's certainly the best way to approach that. especially now with the day and age of social media, to be able to say, hey, listen, I can offer you this. We have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram account, we're doing a podcast and that type of stuff. Like, we can get your name out there. I think that certainly helps with that.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just going to different stores and saying, hey, can you help us out? And I think fairly obviously, especially again this day and age with the way prices are with businesses and such, they're not going to jump at that. They're not going to say, oh, sure, yeah, we can give you $100 or $200 to do this to somebody I don't know for a reason I can't tell you about. They're not going to do that. So again, that was one of my motivations for coming on here a little bit, is to be able to say, hey, listen, I've got these connections, and we can get your name out, and we can do different things, and we can be beneficial to both people. And I really think that's the key. That's been the way I want to approach it. How can not only can you help us with some money, how can I help you with anything, something, whether it's promoting you or somehow making that business part of our on the field experience, with maybe having a flag or something with their sponsored on there or something like that. So yeah, it's a challenge, but it's kind of the way of the world too, of course.
Of course.
So with the challenges you mentioned, as far as like trying to get sponsors and trying to get all the players together in one place for a practice, whether it's an on-field practice, a batting cage practice, how are you personally preparing for the season?
Well, I'll be honest. It's been tougher than I want it to be. My business schedule, unfortunately, keeps me running around when everybody else isn't. I'm a night shift kind of guy, so it makes things tough. It was a whole lot easier when I was working at gyms and I had the access to all that stuff. But usually it's the typical stuff. It's getting myself out. It's getting some swings in. It's getting some exercise. Getting a little running in if I can. Ride my bike and try to get the cardio up. And get a little stronger. Get ready for the season. Again, part of the process for me is playing baseball is that practice, that warm up, the grind, as they call it in baseball. It's just doing it every day. It's getting out there. It's doing those drills and having fun with that. And like, one of my kind of favorite sayings with training is just embrace the suck. We've all heard that. Just it
Oh yeah,
sucks.
we've heard that a lot.
But at the end, you're so much better off, right? You feel like you've accomplished something, and you get something out of it, and that's I love that as well. I think that was part of the reason I got into working at the gyms and working with people, with fitness and health too. But yeah, so just trying what I can. Again, it goes back, as much as I can say. It's hard to get everybody out together and get these practices organized. I got to get out and do it too. I got to set the example. So I try my best to do what we can.
And
To step
aside
back,
from
sorry.
no,
Sorry,
you're good.
Alex.
You're good. Go ahead. Go. You can go.
And sorry, just the one last thing. I mean, it's a challenge, just with it being the North Country, and getting outside on the field's impossible. So to find an indoor place to get any kind of training that isn't already booked, is a complete challenge too. So there's so many things working against you. There are certainly days I wish I was living in Florida and I could just play all day, all year. There's
Don't we
no
all?
excuses there.
Facts.
So aside from playing, right? Like, what is your approach to managing a team and coaching a team? Because people who really don't know too much about what the behind the scenes of running a sports team, managing the team and coaching the team are two separate things. So what is your approach to both, being that you hold both roles?
Yeah, managing the team, I think, and no offense to any of the guys or anything like that, or any team I've ever been on, but it's a little bit of a thankless job, right? I mean, I got to do this. I got to get the money into the league. I got to hit the meetings. I got to make sure that we've got the rosters in. I've got to get everybody's information ready and all this type of stuff. And that can take time, especially when you've got a job and got a family and that type of stuff. So, but again, I enjoy it. It's that part of the job that is not the most fun, but is obviously a point involved, and you got to get that done. So from there, and again, just to step back, the guys in the league are the managers and stuff are all awesome guys. They're all great guys, So to be able to go to meetings and hang out and kind of talk baseball with them is great too. So there's always stories that pop up, and we're always kind of having fun with each other and that type of stuff. So it's a great league to be a part of. And as far as coaching goes, that kind of falls into what we were talking about as far as organizing things. My mentality goes to the competitiveness of it, and just I've always had that, like I want to win, I want to be a good team. I played little league, I played high school, I played in college a little bit. That's always been that part of that, and nobody wants to be the worst team in any league, right? Nobody wants to just go, show up and know that the other team already thinks, well, we got this one. So getting our guys in, it's a recreational league, and getting guys into a game each and every game, it can be tough sometimes, especially when my thought process is, oh, I want to win this game. It's a game that's close, and it's a team that you want to beat, and you want to make, you want to put that W in the column, man.
Absolutely.
Like how do you make those choices sometimes to when do you put a guy in and like you get carried away. Hell, I'll admit, I got carried away. The next thing I know, it's the eighth inning, and one of the guys goes, "Dude, am I getting in tonight?" I'm like, "Oh no, shoot, I got carried away with that." But I want it to be fun. I want the guys that enjoy being there, and I want the guys to get something out of being there, right? That's how they're going to come back. That's how they're going to stay with this team. That's how they're going to have that loyalty and that connection with this team and with the guys on the team. And in the end, that will help me move things forward. That'll help me get to a place that we can be a team that is in a fight for a championship every year, and can be, a team that every other team is kind of going, all right, at least we got to show up and we got to play today, or we're going to lose. So it's finding that balance between how, getting everybody in and having a great time and enjoying that, and still being competitive and enjoy a win, and not be rolled over every time you show up on the field, man. So it's a real challenge. I really, again, enjoy that challenge with it, but it's tough some days. It's tough some days for sure.
What would you say is the most difficult part about the balance between being a coach and being a player? Being I think what I'm trying to say is how you're friends with everyone on the team. Now, how do you go about, this is a sports team, putting
It's a
the
good point.
friendship aside
It's a good point.
and saying like, hey, look, I know you're trying to get in this game. This is a close game. Like you said, the challenge of you want to win more than anything. And honestly, the experience I had last year
Man,
with you
that's
was
gotta be tough.
we've because we had such a good team last year, because we did, and I heard the guys, the rumble and the dugout in between innings, like, man, I remember the last time we won 4 games, and we got to 7 last year. So what's the most difficult part about that balance of, hey guys, I know you want to play, but I want to win.
Yeah, it's so tough because there are guys on that team that have been with me since I started the team, since I took over, and it's tough to be able to say, listen, my priority today is winning, man. My priority today is winning. I think communication really obviously is the best solution to that, is having people understand from the start of the season what our goals are as a team, what my goals are as a coach and a manager, and letting them know that, and being clear about that. That can change from time to time, as the game goes. We all know that, but I've been in that position, man. I've been in that position where the guys. I'm like, dude, am I getting in today? I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think so. I hate to do that. I don't like doing that, but that's, if we need to be better, we want to be better, we need to take particular steps to be better. And sometimes that's not playing everybody. Sometimes that's, keeping our core of guys in there if that's what's need be. So it's certainly a challenge. Like I said, I'm a laid back guy. I don't like to cause any more trouble than necessary. So you get that confrontation, and it's something I have to learn to deal with. But yeah, I think communication is absolutely the best solution to that. Just as long if everybody understands where you are at the start, those conversations don't have to be quite so uncomfortable.
Before Lex keeps going, that is really I when you were talking, it keeps reminding me of those days when I used to play adult basketball, semi-pro basketball type stuff, and it's the same thing. It's the challenge. It's like everyone one so on a basketball team it's 1 through 15, right? Only five can play, and everybody's coming out of their own pocket. All 15 is coming out of their own pocket to play on this league, and they want their playing time. That's so difficult to be a manager to do that. But to what you said, you kept saying how competitive you are. That's how I used to be. And if me sitting on a bench is going to get us a better win, I'm going to sit my ass on a bench if it gives us the benefit of the W, like you keep saying. But some people don't think that. Some people are like, oh, I'm sacrificing time away from my family on a Saturday and Sunday, putting money into this thing. I want my time. And sometimes becomes that difficult. So I can see where you're going with this. And it's really tough, especially because man, we've been like when I used to be in there before the military, I used to always like we used to always try to get a sponsor, but no one's gonna sponsor an adult team. If it was like an AAU basketball team, they would have sponsored. But with adults, man, it's very tough to get convince these people to get a tax write off for us.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah,
to
for
to
sure, for sure.
piggyback on that challenge, has anyone ever questioned some of your coaching decisions, and how did you deal with it?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of in my world kind of depends on your definition of a question. I mean, yeah, there's always kind of I've never had anybody get in my face and say, "What the hell are you doing? You don't know how to run this team. We could use another manager." Type of thing. I've never had that. I've got a great bunch of guys that aren't those kind of guys. So that's awesome. I certainly appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, there's always guys that usually come up to me after a game. Um, at least that's and say, listen, why'd you take pitcher out? Why'd you take him, or why'd you take me out? Or how come you didn't put me in? Or why did you set up this lineup and that type of stuff? And again, at some point, decisions have to be made, right? And I got to be the person who makes those decisions, and I got to stick by them one way or the other. And it's tough. It's tough again because a lot of these guys I do consider my friends, and a lot of these guys I've played with for years, and you always got to play that balance. Fred, like you were saying with the basketball teams and stuff, like these guys have paid. These guys want, they feel that they've paid and they should get some time. And I agree, obviously. Uh, like what we gotta make a line at some point, right? You've
Right.
got to say, and I I've had a few guys where I've said that. Listen, like I don't think I need you in this game at this point, and I don't know if the way I want to utilize you is the way you want to be utilized. So they didn't come back the next year, and you got to cut those losses sometimes
Yeah.
and bite the bullet. And sometimes they were a good enough player that I could have used, and you kind of got to go. Oh, that stinks, man. That you work around it, but for all intents and purposes, yeah, I've never had anybody. I can't say never had anybody say anything, but I've never had any real serious argument about what I've been doing, and I think having one of the somebody, I had Chris helping us out last year, and
Yeah.
just having somebody else that is an assistant coach kind of a thing helps where we can kind of say, listen, we talked about this and we feel this is the best option too. And, it's not, it takes some of that pressure off of me specifically, which helps a little bit. But, that's the best way to deal with it, I think. It's the only way I've got to kind of deal with it.
That's
I
true.
definitely agree. I know last year there was a few times also Liam also like stepped into that role where he was kind of like, "Hey, maybe we should do this. I think this will help." Like as far as defensive like positioning or taking a taking Larry out or me out when we started showing that fatigue on the mound and whatnot. But
Yeah, that's
I
always
definitely agree with that.
yeah, that's kind of going back to that. Just having the challenge for me, being a player and a coach with that is I've always been taught as a player to kind of work at one play at a time, right? That's baseball. Like you make an error, you struck out the last at bat, forget about it. Next play, right? Next play, next play. So as a manager, you're always thinking 4 or 5, plays ahead, an inning ahead. So to keep track of where everybody is and how the pitchers are doing and be able to say, oh yeah, we got to get some of these other guys in and make some substitutions. That's a challenge for me sometimes too, for sure.
Absolutely. So I got two more things for you. This
All right.
one is, if you could have a conversation with your younger self, what would you say?
I mean, I'm pretty happy with where I am, as far as baseball stuff is concerned. I can't be too upset about it. I think a lot of people fall into the same category probably. As far as baseball is concerned, I think anybody that plays sports and is fascinated by sports has had that dream of making it big, right? Of really doing something with that and maybe going pro or doing something D1 college, that type of stuff. Um, where I played in college, it was just D3 stuff and local, but I did some tryout camps for the Braves actually, when I was growing up, in high schools, they would come to Syracuse at Lemoyne College in Syracuse and have some tryout camps. There's one thing that I would love to improve on. It would have been being a bit more focused and just understanding the situation a little. Like to be a pro player, and believe me, I have no particular experience, but just from my experience, I can say it takes some serious focus and it takes some serious dedication to take that step and be one of the best athletes in the world, in the country. So otherwise, I love where I'm at for the most part. Like I said, I all my friends, the people I met are from baseball and sports, and I wouldn't change that for anything, man. I love it. I love it.
It's perfect. Do you have anything, Fred, before I hit him with the last question?
We with the last question because that might trigger me to ask more questions.
All right, you got it. So,
Hey, I got all day. We can go.
so what are your goals for the future of the team, the Mongrels? Because last year we had the name change. I know the year prior you guys were the Phillies. Everyone agreed to become the Mongrels. New color scheme, which this jersey is fire. It's one of my favorite jerseys I've had.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
So what are some of the goals you have for the team as far as I would say the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, the standard goal is always to improve, right? Is always to be better. I I believe in team, right? The concept of the team. I believe a whole is more than the sum of its parts, right? I don't believe necessarily that you have to have the best players at every position to be competitive and to win a league in there. So I think you get a good bunch of guys that meld well, that have fun and enjoy playing ball and want to be there and want to put in a little bit of extra work with some practices and focusing on that. That's where I want to be. I want to grow this team where we can have a solid set of guys um, that I know. At this point, we're pretty good with that. But like I know where I can get new guys from when I need new guys. That's a bit of a challenge for us at this point. The only way we kind of get new guys is through kind of a league wide uh, submission form. So it's kind of first come first serve. So that's a challenge for us is making sure we get the best players possible. Somebody else is always out there for them. So I would love to kind of make ourselves a bit more self sufficient in that way, where I have a way to promote the team, get good players, to maintain players, to potentially get some sponsorship, and be in the thick of it. That's it. Be in the thick of a championship run every year. That would be awesome. At this point, there's a few real strong teams in our league, and you kind of go into the year kind of going, "Yep, those are the two teams," and I want to be in that conversation. I want to change the narrative on that. And I want to be part of it.
So
Absolutely.
now it triggered me with a question. Okay, you got your colors.
Yeah.
You got you got a jersey behind you. You
Yeah.
got colors. You have a color scheme, and you have a title. Now that I know that you changed it, so for me, you can ask Lex. We made a little joke in our wrestling chat, and LWO came out of nowhere. In 2 seconds, I made a logo for us. What was it for you as the manager? I'm calling you a GM to this team to one put the color scheme together on that jersey, and two, where did the title Mongrels come from, and why did you choose that team name?
So, like Alex was saying, the majority of our teams in my existence in the league have been major league teams. I think it's just simpler, probably in a lot of ways.
Ah,
Just to hey, listen, we're we were the Phillies. Go get a Phillies jersey. You're part of the team type of thing. I wanted to switch that up. I wanted to be noticed. I wanted to be unique. Um, so I have a bit of a background in art and design. I utilize that to design the jersey and to be something totally different. We have a lot of teams that were blue in the league, and our jerseys for the Phillies were red. But like I wanted to stand out. Like I wanted to be somebody goes, "Hey, Mark, I want to come watch a game. Where are you going to be? How am I going to see where you are?" It's like, this is where we're going to be. Look for these bright jerseys, man. Look for these things, and you're never going to miss them, right? You'll see us. We're the only team that has that. As far as the Mongrels goes, every time I would come up with a name, I'd write it down. I'm like, I like that name. Maybe I can use that name. But what it just came up with is when I took over the team, um, we basically were half of a prior existing team, half of our team, I guess a little less than half considering, and then some new guys, right? So we were just this pack of mix and match and just guys that wanted to play ball but didn't have a home and just mongrels. Just you're that didn't nobody wanted you, nobody thought much of you, just wandering the
I
streets
like
kind
it.
of
I like
thing.
it.
So I said, mongrels. I love, I'm a dog person myself, and like I think that's awesome, So I came up with the design on the jersey. I came up with the design on my hat. We had these things made up, and that logo's behind Alex. That's part of our Facebook page. So it gives me an opportunity to kind of expand on my artistic background and still have some fun with baseball at the same time. So yeah, that's the stories behind the mongrels.
That's so beautiful. I love stories like that to
Thanks.
figure out the origin of these hot places. Before Lex, I don't know if Lex has anything else, but I just really want you to sprout out everything, your social media, like Instagram, Facebook. If you're still on MySpace, I don't care. Just spread it out. Give us
Right.
everything
Right.
that you have to put on this thing, and I hope that this platform can help spread the news about the mongrels here in the North Country.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that for sure, for sure. I'll be honest, we don't have a ton. We had a Facebook page. That's our main place as far as the Mongrels are concerned. You can look us up there at Syracuse MSBL Mongrels. That's the page I run. So if you leave us a direct message with any questions, or if you're interested in playing, and like we could still use players. We're about a month away, but I'm always looking for good players. Guys that know the game are familiar with it, want to be a part of something big. I'm looking for you. Leave me a message there. I'll get back to you as soon as I can with that, and we can work stuff out. Um, as far as signing up in other fashions, as far as our league is concerned, if you go to the MSBL national page, it's www.msblnational.com. You can even sign up for our league there. There's a link that says join now, and you fill in your information, of course, with things like your name, address, positions, and all the pertinent information, and the national will send that to our league president, which then disperses that to all of us managers. So if you're interested, that's probably the secondary way to get into the league. The specific way, again, for us is through the Facebook page. We do have an Instagram page for the league as well. That's at Syracuse MSBL. So you can contact us through there as far as getting involved with the league as well. That's yeah. Like again, our Facebook page is specifically for us at Syracuse MSBL Mongrels, and then the other stuff is through the league as a whole.
Man, it's beautiful. Lex, you got anything else?
No, all I'm gonna say is I'll send you those links so you can post them down below when we add this to the Yup Tub.
Awesome,
Listen,
awesome guys. Yeah.
sir, it was an honor to have you here. I love promoting anything local, especially where we're from, because me and Lex are not from this area, but we get to meet people like you that are from this area and are doing something good for the league. Like maybe not for the kids, but these some adults need this. Some adults have this love for the game and lost it, and sometimes they get lost in the world, and then you bring them back with the love of baseball, with the love of anything, right? And you bring that in with that, you take them away from what we go through in the army. You take them away from trouble. You know what I mean? Like they go back to their roots where they were kids and they play the sport again, and they find what their childhood used to be instead of going out there and finding trouble because they didn't have anything else. So I applaud you. I applaud anyone in that league. I applaud my boy Lex for even putting this, because this is a beautiful podcast to even have, to make sure that you can promote your team and even the league itself. And I'm looking forward to whenever Lex lets me know he's going to go to a game, for me to, because I'm not playing. I'm not. If anyone knows, I'm not playing. I'm a big fan, but if it's a softball team, I'll play softball. But
Right,
I
right.
am so honored that you came in. And again, if you have any other people that want to, just have a platform to talk. You know what I mean? Tell Lex, and we'll have this again. We'll have this conversation again.
Awesome.
You know what I mean?
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate you guys doing this for me. It was very kind of you. You didn't have to take the time and the effort to do that, but I certainly appreciate that. I had a great time. I'm really looking forward to maybe we can do this again sometime and
Of course.
go from there. But yeah, I'll definitely pass the word along and to guys in the league and maybe guys on our team even, and maybe we can get some other guys and make something of it. You never know. It'd be great.
All right. Like, comment, subscribe to the Solarflex podcast. Lex, you got one more thing before I cut it loose? Because it's WrestleMania
Uh,
night too.
I'm good. I'm good.
All right. Hey, you guys enjoy the rest of your night.
Dude.
Holler